program. They won it last weekend, 2-1 over Madison. Just a wonderful year for them. And we say good morning and congrats to Coach Joe Tucei. Coach, how you doing out there? Congrats on a state championship.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate you coming on the program. Tell us about it. First girls soccer state championship in FC history?
Yes.
How unique was it? You know, you've had a good program there for a long while, and certainly the competition you see on a regular basis in the Beach District. Cox, who you face a lot. We'll get into the matchups with them in the region championship and state semis here in just a bit. But you had to be awful proud of what the girls accomplished.
Well, sure. Anytime you win, it's not easy to win a state championship. And the last time SC was in the state finals was in 1993. So it's been a long time, state quarterfinals or state semifinals, but never back to the finals until this past weekend.
At what point in the season, of course, you're undefeated for a long while, I think until the region championship, but you already clinched a berth to states. Did you feel like this team had the makings of being a potential state champion? Was it before the season started, early, middle of the year, not till the playoffs? When did you kind of have that feeling as a coach?
I was before the season started. It was last year when we lost in the semifinals. We felt that we had the tools to get back at least to that final weekend, and hopefully, good things would happen.
Hey, Joe, this is Ed Young. Congrats on that title.
Hey, thank you.
I know in the coaching business, I'm a head basketball coach on the high school level. We strive for that. I mean, we want our players to just get better every day and be competitive and compete for first place. But when you win the overall prize, which is that state title, that's a great feeling. So congrats to you, because those aren't given out like candy. It's hard to get those, as you mentioned.
It's hard, and it's a great feeling for sure.
Now, let's do this first and foremost. We like to do with the coaches we get on, especially first time. Let's take you all the way back to your high school days as to where you went to high school, and then bring us from there all the way up to current, places, any college work you did, your early coaching right up to your job there at FC.
Well, I was originally from Oklahoma. I went to Tulsa Edison High School. I wrestled and at high school there, and I played travel soccer. They didn't have I'm old, so back then they didn't have high school soccer. They actually my high school got it the year after I graduated. So I just played travel soccer there in Oklahoma, and then I went to the University of Oklahoma for 4 years, and then I went into the Navy for 4 years. That's how I got out here, and then I went to Old Dominion and got my master's at Old Dominion, and then got my second master's at George Washington, and started coaching locally here, and First Colonial hired me in 1992.
So you've been with FC from day one of your coaching career?
Yes. I coached at Beach FC, and then, and also coached, and they hired me in 1992. I coached the guys for 11 years at First Colonial.
Okay. Now
and then switched over, I think, in 2004 to the girls.
And do you teach at First Colonial? Are you a teacher?
Yes, I teach government.
Okay. Now, second thing, let's look at your roster. Let's talk. Let's highlight your key players. Anybody you want to talk about, especially seniors, and if anybody is moving on to play at the next level.
Right. Well, this year I had 5 senior captains. They've been playing and starting for me since their freshman year. Elise Vasquez, she scored 24 goals this year, and she's going to Virginia Commonwealth University. She made first team All-State this year and last year, and she was a Player of the Year last year. Isabel Bloomdahl, she's also forward. She had 22 goals, and she's going on to play at UNC Greensboro, and she made All-State this year and was also the State Player of the Year. And Izzy Fontana, a defensive midfielder, she's going on to West Point. And unfortunately for her, she 3 minutes into the finals game, she tore her ACL. So they're going to put her in the prep academy for a year, and then she'll go in to West Point the year after. And Reagan Tate, our center back, first team All-State also, and this is her second time to be on the All-State team. She's going to Old Dominion. And Izzy's also first team All-State. And Abigail Wagner, another senior, she's not going to play anywhere, but she's going to Virginia Tech. But she started all 4 years and definitely could have played somewhere, but decided just to be a student. And then we had a sophomore midfielder who got hurt in the semifinal game, and she made first team All-State. And she had 12 goals for us. Her name was Yasmin Ellis.
We're chatting with Joe Tucei, the head soccer coach of the First Colonial Girls program, a state champion over at Madison 2-1 last week in the title game here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. You mentioned Vasquez with 25 goals going to VCU. Coach, some of the younger girls, because you mentioned too with this roster being not as many seniors, I'm sure you're going to get asked about a lot of the girls moving on. They win a state championship now. The program's expected to do that again. But how much does it help too with some of the girls coming back that they can see that? And know that what they achieve that next year, they've been through the rigors a little bit. Does that help you a lot as a coach?
Sure. I mean, we'll graduate 8 seniors. 5 or 4 first team all-state players. I mean, that's going to be difficult to replace. But those girls play with those girls every day. Bringing them along on the trips for the during the regionals and also for the state tournament. It helps. I mean, they see what it takes, and hopefully they can live up to expectations.
Now, we ask this a lot of coaches, whether it be basketball, baseball, softball, football, you name the sport, that the competition and the Beach District for girls soccer, a lot of good quality teams. Your program and Cox have built a nice rivalry. They got you in the region championship. I believe that was your only loss, but you got revenge in the state semifinals. Speak on just the teams you see, and specifically those couple of matchups with them, how much that prepped you for what you saw in the title game with Madison.
Well, actually, Madison and Cox are very similar. They play very direct, and so we were used to it, and we just played a direct team in the semifinals. So it wasn't that hard to adjust to what Madison was trying to do. The hard thing to adjust to was missing 2 key midfielders for that final game. But Cox kind of started out slow, and they got some players back from injury, and by the end of the season, we're really playing very, very well.
For sure, and I believe with them, it was pretty much a game that you felt like could go to the very last play. It was, I think, the 2-1 overtime loss in the region championship. Was that right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you got them back in a shutout 2-0. I mean, pretty confident, though, the second time around against Cox. I mean, your girls had to feel like you hadn't lost all year until that game, and it wasn't a win-or-go-home game, so there was no lacking for confidence?
No. We knew we were going to control the match, and we knew we needed to limit their opportunities and finish ours. We knew that we weren't going to have many, but we knew we had to put it away when we had the opportunity. We didn't do that. We didn't do that in the finals, in the regional finals, but we did in the semifinals, state semifinals. So,
hey Joe, one thing I want to ask you too. I know you said you played it back in the day because high school didn't have soccer until you graduated,
right.
And you did a little bit of coaching, I think. Travel soccer, what role does it play for your program? I know in basketball we talk about travel ball being AAU. It could be a necessary evil. It could be a necessary good. It just depends. How do you look at travel soccer for you guys?
Well, obviously, if you don't have travel players on your team, it's going to be tough to compete, especially in the Beach District. That's just the fact of the matter. So what I try to do is I try to schedule my games that don't correspond with the weekends of club tournaments and things like that. But they do a great job in training them technically, and if they're on the black team, or the Nike swoosh team or whatever the top teams, I mean, you're getting good players.
Well, Coach, we thank you so much for giving us some time this morning. Again, congrats on a great achievement of a state championship with the First Colonial Girls Soccer program, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Hey, thank you guys. You guys too. Keep talking, keep promoting high school sports. We appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
That is Joe